It's a good ball, and it doesn't carry the slip. And the match is drawn.
Special day and special game and a special ground.
The Indians have shocked the English here.
200-year celebration of this famous old ground.
200 up for Lords. That was the headline story of 2014 for MCC when the club celebrated the bicentenary of the world's most iconic ground. A star-filled MCC versus the rest of the world match grabbed many headlines, but the president also highlighted other important work done by the club.
It was one of those wonderful years that seemed to have gone by in a blur with so many functions, wonderful functions. Lots of people have enjoyed Lords that might not have done in the past. We had Hertfordshire here on the 22nd of June with all the families allowed to sit out on the ground, on the grass, which hasn't happened for a long, long time. And we had over 600 kids here one day from Chance-to-Shine, from all over the country, wandering around our great ground, playing out on the main square. The community work that's really taken off. MCC has done an awful lot around the world, and we go far and wide, but we don't really have a look at our own doorstep. And I think that we've moved on another level, I think. It's been a level that has taken on board communities, not just around the world, but local as well. So I think that's been a huge step forward.
The landmark event of the bicentenary was the MCC versus Rest of the World match that featured 22 of the biggest names in the sport, including captain Shane Warne and Sachin Tendulkar. Brian Lara was there, Adam Gilchrist, Mutai Muralitharan, Rahul Dravid, Kevin Peterson and Saeed Ajmal as well. Rest of the World batted first, with Virender Sehwag and Adam Gilchrist opening the innings, Gilchrist while wearing a mini camera mounted on his helmet.
Good cricket all round.
Then came the Ajmal show, with the Pakistani spinner reducing MCC to a perilous 68 for 5 before Yuvraj Singh and Paul Collingwood rebuilt the innings. Yuvraj went on to hit a splendid century, which was warmly acknowledged by the Lords crowd.
Hammered away for 4 by Yuvraj to take him to 3 figures.
Yuvraj and Peter Siddle planted some late runs before Shane Warne came out to bat and incredibly had his hand broken by Brett Lee Beamer, unintentional of course. The final total was 293 for 7. MCC's reply was always ahead of target, and much joy came from seeing Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara batting once again at Lords. The star of the show was Australia's Aaron Finch, who smashed 181 not out to lead his side to victory for the loss of just 3 wickets, and that capped a very special day at the home of cricket.
Now then, has he finished it? Yes, he has. He finishes it with a 6, fitting really that Aaron Finch should finish the innings for the MCC.
Being here and just to experience the atmosphere has always been special. Today was even better.
Who knows, maybe we'll put one of these together. Well, it might not be the 300 years. I don't think any of us will be around then, but maybe there'll be another game around that we can get out and play.
Earlier in the summer, Lords hosted the first ever MCC Women versus Rest of the World Women match. The visitors scored 289 for 9, thanks to India's Mithili Raj and Australia's Meg Lanning. And MCC fell 41 runs short, despite the best efforts of Charlotte Edwards and Heather Knight, in a match that showcased the very best of the women's game.
To have Rachel Hayo-Flint, our manager, and to have her team talk here this morning, there was a tear in my eye really to think where the game's come from when she started playing to where it is now.
I think it's very special to actually get a match to play in Lords, and even getting to bat and scoring a 50 is definitely very special.
The most historically significant day came on June the 22nd, 200 years to the day since the very first match at Lords. The same sides, MCC and Hertfordshire, took the field again on a wonderful day that saw the home of cricket throw open its pavilion doors to the public. West Indies legend Brian Lara turned out for MCC, a great thrill that for the big crowd, some of whom watched the game from the outfield, something that had last happened in 1987. Lara rolled back the years with a glorious 56, and that won the game for MCC on another special day.
It hits home from very early in my life with the importance of playing at Lords, how much of a momentous occasion it is for anybody from any nation playing, and to have had the opportunity to play a few times, I feel very, very honoured.
International cricket at Lords in 2014 saw 3 thrilling games between England and the tourist Sri Lanka and India. The Royal London One-Day International against Sri Lanka saw the visitors post an imposing 300, and that thanks to 100 from Kumar Sangakkara, one of the finest players of the age. England faltered before Jos Buttler's sensational 121, scored in 74 balls, took them to the brink, but they fell 7 runs short by the end of the day. Buttler's swashbuckling innings is widely considered to be one of the best ever one-day performances at Lords. The Lords Investec Test match between the teams was even closer. England scored 575 on the back of Joe Root's maiden Test double 100. Sri Lanka made 453 in reply, with a delighted Kumar Sangakkara getting his name on the famous honours board. Gary Ballance then scored his maiden Test 100, leaving Sri Lanka batting for a draw in a tense final session. They were 9 wickets down with 2 balls left when a review saved Nuwan Pradeep after he'd been given out LBW. It then boiled down to this.
The final ball of the match. It's a good ball, and it doesn't carry the slip. And the match is drawn, and the disbelief is apparent.
Heartbreaking for England, although one bright spot was the 100 made by Gary Ballance in only his 2nd Test.
To get 100 in the last over of the day, was very special, and the atmosphere was really brilliant. It's what every cricketer wants to do is get their name on the Lord's board, and I'm just feel proud that I've done it.
India were next up at the home of cricket, and Ajinkya Rahane scored 100 before Ballance matched him in England's reply. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar took 6 for 82. India then set England 319 to win in the final innings of the match, but the hosts crumbled under a bouncer barrage from Ishant Sharma. Sharma took 7 wickets to give India only their 2nd Test match win at Lords in 82 years.
Now over the wicket into the rough. Go on, Jimmy. Oh no! Oh no! No! Oh! Can you believe? Well played, India.
I think that's a memory that always with me forever. The first thing is that we won the match. Second thing, I performed in that match, and that was like a historical moment for all of Indians. So I mean, there were many memories in that match.
Each and every members, they just stood up and gave respect, and they were clapping all the time, and not for me, but each and every individual, for each and every player. So you don't get to see everywhere in the world, but that's completely memorable and really special.
In the domestic Royal London One-Day Cup final, Durham won a low-scoring match after bowling out Warwickshire for just 165, thanks mainly to veteran Gareth Breeze's 3 for 30. Durham made hard work of the chase and were reduced to 86 for 5 at one point, before England's Ben Stokes saw them home with 38 not out. This left Durham to celebrate their 5th trophy since their foundation as a first-class county in 1992. Many other fixtures were played at Lords and on the nursery ground too in 2014. Regular fixtures such as the varsity match between Oxford and Cambridge, for example, and this year that had a thrilling finish. Cambridge were all out for just 177, but in reply, Oxford slumped to 137 for 9. The match looked over until the number 9 batsman, Ross Haynes, played an astonishing hand. He scored 61 from 44 balls, and he won it for Oxford in the very last over. The next day, Eton took on Harrow, a fixture played for more than 200 years. Harrow won by 63 runs on the back of a fine all-round performance by Anshuman Rath. Poor weather affected the 10th annual Inter-Services T20 tournament, with the RAF and the Navy game rained off. The Army then took on the Navy and won by 49 runs, with Captain Storm Green smashing 100. The final match to decide the champions was between the Army and the RAF, with the Army comfortably winning by 6 wickets, thanks to Lance Corporal Brennan Varley's 65 not out.
It's fantastic. I can't really put it in words. I would like to thank the MCC for having us here. It's such a prestigious ground, and with the Bicentenary as well. Not just from Army, but from Tri-Services Cricket. Thank you very much.
MCC schools faced the English Schools Cricket Association, and in a one-sided encounter, the hosts were bowled out for 165. It was a comfortable win for the loss of just 1 wicket and achieved in less than 28 overs. The Davidstow National Village Cup final is a highlight of the season and featured Yorkshire's Woodhouse Grange playing in their 6th final at Lords against first-time finalists Great and Little Chew from Oxfordshire.
It's the highlight of the village's 107-year existence. So as a club, we've entered the competition when it started back in the 70s, and they entered it to buy some whiskey, to get some whiskey for the winners, and then they realised that the final was at Lords, so it's been an ambition ever since then.
Win, lose or tie or whatever, it's about playing this fantastic venue, taking it all in as a day. The club and the supporters and everyone associated to it for both sides, I'm sure, will just have a fantastic day. So that's what it's all about.
Great and Little Chew batted first, but were all out sadly for 114, a total that Woodhouse Grange quickly knocked off for a 10-wicket win and their 3rd Village Cup. MCC hosted Scotland in a low-scoring thriller. Chasing a target of 150, Scotland were reduced to 90 for 7 before Rana Huck and the tail got the visitors home by 1 wicket. Indian legend Rahul Dravid played for MCC against Hong Kong Cricket Club, but it was opener Graham Grace who starred with 100 and Hong Kong fell 18 runs short in their run chase. In addition, MCC teams played more than 500 matches in 2014, mostly against schools and clubs on a regular basis. Thus, it remains the most active playing club in the world. While Lords was marking its bicentenary, Middlesex were also celebrating a landmark, the 150th anniversary of the club. There were a number of events and functions which featured some famous faces from the past.
Vincent van der Bijl came over from South Africa. Again, there's others like your Mike Selvers, your Peter Parfitts, your Ron Hookers, your JT Murrays, all those sort of figures, Alan Moss, a lot of sort of legends of the club coming together. At the end of the season, Wayne Daniel turned up, and I think it really sort of came home to myself, and I think to some of the younger players that are at the club now, I suppose it puts a face and a voice to the names that they've heard about in the past. So they were really good events. 2014 for Middlesex has been a frustrating and disappointing year, really. We started it off strongly. We won 4 of our first 6 championship matches and were top of the table going into June. We then fell away. We played a double header 2020 match here against Essex and Sussex, which was a new thing to do. Again, it's being innovative and trying to get as many people as you can in the grounds for these games. Our white ball cricket it wasn't good enough. I think we only won 4 out of 22 games or something like that. Our white ball cricket then really sort of undermined quite a bit of our red ball cricket, and ended up with us sort of being in a relegation dogfight that we just managed to get out of at the end. And then your last game of the season, which is a very nerve-wracking 4 days, and I think anybody watching from a neutral position would have really enjoyed it. It was a cracking game of cricket. Even though it sort of ended up in a draw, it was sort of tense almost all the way down to the last half an hour. We know that we've not performed as a group. The structure of next season is the same as this season, and if we don't improve our white ball cricket, it could undermine our whole season again, as I think it's done this year.
Supporting the youth game has always been high on the agenda of MCC, with university cricketers past and present hailing the impact of the club.
We had the chance to play against first-class counties, which was important. The university's centres of excellence is an excellent place to put some money to use.
As a cricketer, without the MCCU scheme, I think I would be nowhere near as to where I am now. You know, training every day, you can't improve without that. And I can't imagine I'd have ever had a first-class debut or played against, you know, top-level sportsmen. So it's been fantastic.
The MCC has been brilliant. Without their support, this whole facility at Loughborough couldn't run.
Loughborough, packed with England players, have dominated the women's university game in recent years, and they went through the season unbeaten after crushing Exeter in the British Universities and Colleges Sport Final by 227 runs. Lauren Winfield, Georgia Elwis and Amy Galvrit were in the runs for Loughborough before Becky Grundy bowled them to victory, taking 6 for 10. The men's final was a thrilling encounter between Loughborough and Leeds Bradford MCC universities. The Yorkshire students hit 244 with Henry Thompson and Will van der Spa top scoring before both were removed by Devon Enderby, who finished with 6 for 42. Loughborough pursued the target well on the back of a marked best 100, but after he perished, they stumbled, ending up needing 5 runs from the last over. Tailender Lewis Bramley got them over the line as Loughborough won by 3 wickets. It's been another successful year for MCC young cricketers, with players rewarded with their professional contracts after benefiting from expert coaching and world-class facilities. Tom Hampton and Billy Root were signed up midway through the season by Gloucestershire and Nottinghamshire respectively, while Jamie Porter was recruited by Essex, and he made an immediate impression when he removed veteran Darren Stevens in his first over in professional cricket. Chris Peasley, Liam Goff and Adam Hose also attracted county interest at the end of the season. And the MCC young cricketers got one over the MCC themselves, beating them by 3 wickets, with Matt Renshaw scoring a sparkling 138. Matt from Sydney was a personal recommendation of Ian Chappell, and his is a name to look out for in the future. Promoting the spirit of cricket is one of the most important things that MCC does, and it encompasses a wide range of acts and activities. The 2014 CMJ Spirit of Cricket Awards, named in memory of former MCC President Christopher Martin Jenkins, honoured those who have best exhibited the spirit of cricket throughout the summer. Luke Wright of Sussex won the Elite Award for signalling 6 during an LV County Championship match after he'd taken a catch against Lancashire while a small part of his foot was still on the boundary run. The Girls' Award was won by Banbury Under-15s bowler Amy Freeman, who dislocated her knee early in the season, but continued to play for the rest of 2014 so her club could field the full team every week. She bowled off 1 step and still took plenty of wickets. Yorkshire's Yapham Cricket Club Under-13s won the Boys' Award for their conduct during a quarter-final match, calling back batsmen after a questionable catch and a run-out, which cost them the game. St Peter's Primary School won the Schools Award for being the only school in Croydon that takes part in cricket at all levels for boys, girls and in mixed teams. The MCC Spirit of Cricket Cowdrey Lecture was this year delivered by Sir Ian Botham, who looked back fondly at the old days while also debating some of the hardcore issues that currently confront the game.
How on earth did the IPL own the best players in the world for 2 months a year and not pay a penny to the boards who brought these players into the game? I know this has been modified to a degree, but it is still an imbalance. The IPL is too powerful for the long-term good of the game. We had rest days in those days as well. They were magnificent. We did more damage to those Australians on the rest day than we ever did on the pitch.
And there was a Q&A session afterwards with Sunil Gavaskar and Matt Pryor.
When a batsman scores a 50 or 100, the fielders hardly ever clap. It's almost as if saying, oh, clapping somebody getting a 50 or 100 is going to take your intensity away. But that's not the way I believe cricket should be played.
600 schoolchildren from around the country joined Chris Tremlett and Charlotte Edwards for the Chance to Shine MCC Spirit of Cricket Day. Children played cricket on the outfield and even in the real tennis court, and they heard the Spirit of Cricket message. And global MCC tours helped spread the game worldwide. A 5-game tour to Singapore and Malaysia, led by former Lancashire captain Mark Chilton, delivered elite coaching sessions to school children across both countries. MCC travelled to Finland to mark Finnish Cricket Week, and they played the national side. The squad and MCC dignitaries also helped unveil a brand new pavilion at the Kerava National Cricket Ground. Botswana was a trip organised primarily as a coaching tour, and the squad gave Spirit of Cricket workshops to local players and school children amid a nationwide awareness programme to sell the sport. Japanese children were taught the laws and spirit of the game by the MCC squad and tour manager, the former England off-spinner John Embury. The tour was organised in conjunction with the Japanese Cricket Association, who were keen to re-establish the popularity of cricket, which was growing prior to the 2011 tsunami. The most important trip was to China and Hong Kong for the club's first ever women's tour of the Far East, the brainchild of Mike Gatting.
The Chinese women's team just played in the Asian Cup and they came 4th. and that was behind Bangladesh, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So they're a very accomplished side already, and we're hoping that by promoting a successful Chinese side, there'll be a lot of people who will take interest.
The Chinese Cricket Association, which is looking to grow the sport, helped MCC deliver coaching workshops to young girls and boys interested in pursuing their love for cricket. 2014 was full of great moments and celebrations that will live long in the memories of everyone who spent time at Lord's this year, not least the outgoing president.
The one highlight, I honestly think the atmosphere here on that match day on the 22nd of June when MCC played Hertfordshire, the fact that Brian Lara managed to play for the MCC, that there were 8,000 people here, and the atmosphere was lovely, the people wandering around the ground, the families that were here, the kids that were playing on the ground outside the boundary, in between innings. It just really showed to me that there was something of a breaking down of the barriers that people perceive the MCC to have here at Lord's. It's been a huge honour, it's been fantastic. The members have been very kind to me, and being able to say I was president for 1 year has been just another wonderful, hopefully, highlight of my life.
And so to 2015. Of course, the main event will be the Ashes, and the past decade has seen some fabulous games against Australia at Lord's. We didn't know it at the time, but in the glorious summer of 2005, there was to be a final victory on English soil for the great Australian side that featured the likes of Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath. In 2009, England won an Ashes test at the home of cricket for the first time in 75 years, inspired, of course, by Andrew Flintoff in his last ever series. And in 2013, England crushed the old enemy by 347 runs, with hundreds for Ian Bell and for the man of the match, Joe Root. So there's a tremendous amount to look forward to coming on the back of 2014, which, indisputably for Lord's and MCC, was a year that can never be forgotten.